So I want to do a recap of my faith walk. I did a recap before, but I have a lot of new followers, and a lot of people might not understand, why I'm here, what sent me here, how it started, the current situation, how God is working. Um, or there might be a lot of logical people that don't understand the power of God in this situation. So I want to explain that. So let's start from the beginning. God has been calling me back to Miami for 2 years, almost 2 years now, because almost 2 years ago I was here already, right? Um, and I was skeptical of coming back here because of the situation that happened here, but he told me you're gonna be going back here, right? Um, and because I was so hesitant of thinking like maybe that's just me talking to me because of the situation that happened here, I was just like maybe God is just calling me to Florida, period. Maybe it's not Miami. So there were times where God would tell me pack my bags. There was previous times where I almost went on this trip, but because I walked back into temptation, I didn't get the opportunity, right? I walked away from it. I ran from it because I have a tendency of running. Um, so this situation, the fact that I didn't run, I beat temptation, and I actually, surrendered to God and said, okay, you know what? He's been telling me Florida for a while. He's been telling me Miami. He's been telling me these things. I'm just gonna surrender, right? Still had a little bit of skepticism, but I went into it. God told me weeks prior to January 17th that I would be leaving January 17th, right? Um, the only thing he told me was to book a flight to Orlando. I want you to book a flight, right? That's it. He didn't tell me where I'm staying. He didn't tell me, what I'm doing. He didn't tell me any of those things. He told me you don't have to figure any of that out. Just book the flight. That's all I want you to do. Just the first step. So because I heard God say this before, because I packed my bags before, God told me this before, I knew it was him telling me again. I packed my bags and I said, okay, I'm going to leave January 17th. He told me do not tell anybody that you're leaving until last minute. I don't want anybody trying to figure out when they're going to go with you, or trying to figure out, oh, maybe I should come with you and we can take a vacation together, or trying to stop whatever is to come. I want you to tell people last minute, right? So maybe a day before, say, hey, I'm going to be taking this flight, taking a trip, right? So that's what happened. Like January 15th, I told my family, I said, I'm going to be taking a trip to Orlando. I'm going to book a flight to Orlando. And mind you, God told me there's going to be a lot of obstacles when it comes to this situation. He told me about the promised land. He told me that he's going to be moving me to new territory. But I didn't know if this was going to be that situation. I knew he said he was moving me. He said I was going to be moving to new territory. And he's going to allow me to have a rescue, an escape. But I didn't believe that he was meaning this time. So while I was packing, I found myself packing more than I should have, right? I packed a lot of my belongings. And in my spirit, I just felt like, I don't know if I'm leaving or not. I feel like if I come back to my hometown, I'm literally only grabbing my stuff, the rest of my belongings. I'm literally only coming back here to grab the rest of my belongings. So fast forward the day of the flight, on January 17th. That night, I had a lot of spiritual warfare going on, a lot of demonic dreams, the plane crashing, me not making it, just whatever. And the plane was supposed to board at 7 a.m., right? God had to wake me up early because last minute I looked at the app and it said that the plane was going to be boarding at 6:20 and not 7 o'clock. And God reminded me that you can miss it, right? If you say, nah, I'm tired, God, because I was exhausted. I couldn't sleep. I had a lot of demonic dreams. I had no sleep. You can miss it if you keep procrastinating. If you say, you know what, I'm not going to leave. I'm not going to do any of that, right? And before this flight, a day before, there was a snowstorm in my hometown. There's supposed to be 2 snowstorms back to back. And they canceled aircraft travel, right? And then the day of the 17th, now planes are flying again. So because God woke me up early, I went to the airport a little earlier because God told me, you can't miss it, right? If I didn't wake you up early, you could have missed it. So I leave a little early to go, right? And it's getting bad. Like the snow is getting a little bad. And as soon as I get to the airport, this is how God works. When he wants you to hear something, he's going to make sure you listen, right? There was a girl sitting next to me. I went to the gate. Before that, when I checked my bags in, the lady said, just to let you know, you might not make this flight. There's only 2 seats available. Just letting you know. I'm not promising that you're going to make it. And in my head, I'm just like, okay, yeah, that's just a distraction. Get out of my face. But when I sat down near the gate, there was a lady next to me. And I don't know why, my ears were just paying attention to her conversation. She was on her phone and she was like, oh, wow, there's a driving ban in Buffalo. So if I did not leave when I left, I would not be able to leave. Like if I did not catch that Uber, when I caught that Uber, there would be a driving ban and I would not be able to get on that flight. So let's skip. I get on the aircraft and they're trying to take off. And the snow gets really, really bad, right? Really bad. Like it starts pouring snow. And he's driving with this truck. There's a truck next to him because he can't even see where he's going. That's how bad it is. So he comes back and he says, I'm sorry guys, we're probably not gonna be able to leave. It's just too dangerous. And as soon as I walk off the aircraft, this is exactly how God works. When he wants you to hear something, he'll make sure you listen. The lady at the boarding is like, this flight is not. She said it 3 times loud. Is not being canceled, just delayed. And God made sure I had to hear that so that I didn't go off and be like, you know what, dang, maybe I heard the wrong date. Maybe God lied to me. No, this aircraft is not going to be canceled. So they said we're going to board again in a couple hours. We're going to wait till the snow dies down. They tried again. We got on, right? We took off. I got to Chicago because I had a connecting flight, right? Because the flight was delayed, the first flight, I missed my flight to Orlando. So you know what happened? The only flights available to Florida was Fort Lauderdale and Miami. And like I said before, I was skeptical with choosing Miami because I didn't want to come back here. I didn't want to think it was me trying to come back here, not God telling me. So I said, I'm going to pick Fort Lauderdale. And in my pinned video, I said to the camera, like, what is happening? Because I knew what God was doing. I knew he was bringing me back here. And I was like, there's no way. There's no way God's bringing me back to the same place. There's no way. So again, I was so skeptical that I picked Fort Lauderdale. So I went to Fort Lauderdale and I stayed there from the 17th to the 19th. And when the 19th came, God told me, you're not going to be leaving, right? He told me you're not going to be leaving. And I was like, okay, so where am I going? And there's times where God is going to allow you to decide, right? He's not really going to tell you much because he trusts your decision. And he knows that whatever you pick is going to lead you back to the right road. So again, because I'm so skeptical of picking Miami, I told somebody in my life, just book a hotel. I don't care where it is. It could be Fort Lauderdale, Miami. I don't care, right? Just book a hotel. And they said to me, I feel like you should really do Miami because you've been to Fort Lauderdale. You just experienced Miami. I'm like, okay, whatever. They're just sending pictures like, what about this one? What about this one? I'm just pick one. Just pick one and call me when, like, figure it out. They call me. The hotel that she picked is exactly in the back of the last place that I was in Miami. Not the hotel, but the placement where I was standing to where the beginning of my spiritual awakening started, right? Right in the back of it. Right in the back. Literally, I could walk down the streets right there. So at this point, I'm like, oh yeah, God has really been talking to me. Like, this is not a lie. Like, he really divinely connected the situation. So while I'm here, God tells me to go back to the place that triggered me. Go back there. I want you to look at it, experience it, picture who you were at that moment in time, and let it go. Forgive yourself and forgive others, because this cannot go with you into the next season. I need you to let go of this situation. So I let it go, and the next day God said, you're not leaving. God said, you're not leaving, right? So he told me to book again, and I was skeptical because I didn't have much money left over, right? I had a little bit of money from the money that, people gave me towards traveling, but it wasn't a lot left. And God told me, if you book the hotel, I will provide for you. So I booked the hotel. The next day, God had somebody send me the amount that I spent plus more. So not only was the hotel paid for, but I had extra left over. So every time that God told me to book, he would literally provide the money like the next day or the next hour. So here comes the 26th. The 26th, a day before, God told me, do not book after the 26th, right? I sat with it for an entire day. Woke up the next morning, 26th, still felt it. So I didn't book after the 26th, and I sat in the lobby. God didn't tell me no other thing other than just wait in the lobby and wait for my next instruction. And before he told me that, he told me you're not going to be eating or sleeping, and you're going to have body pain until you get to that next door. So while I'm waiting, you can see in the video, one of the videos, 7 hours in, I was already ready to give up. And God told me that entire situation he revealed to me was a way to let go of that running tendency that I have in me, to where my flesh gets disturbed and I run. So he made sure to irritate the heck out of my flesh. So if you go back and look at part 1, you can see even after 7 hours, I was already ready to give up. Already. Which is crazy because I fasted before and I fasted for days on end, right? After 7 hours, I was ready to give up. And God said, keep going. Every time I was like, God, what am I waiting for? He said, keep going. So every time that he said, keep going and just wait, I waited and I kept going. And not only am I waiting, I'm being tempted in the midst of all of this. Tempted with my old fleshly desires and my old addictions, which happen to be smoking, drinking, and being lustful. So this hotel that I'm staying in happens to just turn into a nightclub at night. And I kid you not, every 10 minutes, somebody like, yo, you want to smoke? You want to roll up? You want to drink? You want to come with me in the car? You want to ride with me? I'll take you where you need to go. You hungry? You want to go out to eat? You want to take down my number? You want to link? Every 10 minutes. So for people saying that, oh, it's just the staff that is worried about you, no, there's people that are tempting me to go with them, tempting me to smoke and drink, tempting me to do these things. And every time I beat a test, another test comes. So I'm like, nah, I'm not going to smoke or drink. I'm good. Right after I beat that test, they're like, oh, you can't sleep in here. You can't sleep in the lobby. You can stay in here. You can sit in here, but don't sleep. So I'm like, all right, God really wants me to stay up. And I got so irritated. My flesh got irritated so bad. I did break my fast. I went to the store and I got something to eat. And God told me that is not the test. The test is not to see if you're going to break your fast. The test is to see if you're going to break your fast. And then after you broke it, you just give up and be like, you know what? I don't care about you, God. I give up. I'm about to do a part 2.